So this is going to be a series of videos about my truck, 86 Ford Ranger with an 88 Mustang Fox body 5-liter, pretty bone stock. Just got a carb swap, as you can somewhat see, kind of shitty quality. Anyways, I want to start a build series of videos, just showing you guys what I've done to the truck, what I plan to do on the truck. Soon I'm going to be building a cage for this, and maybe eventually a tube front. But there's still some stuff to get finished on the engine swap and all that, because Rangers obviously never came with a 5-liter. But anyways, that's going to be the beginning of a build series, I guess. Build that's somewhat already done. So anyways, that's going to be it. So to start off, just showing you guys what I have going on here. It's kind of fucking messy in here, but here you see the 302. For those of you who know, that's a GM HEI distributor cap. It's one of those fancy eBay distributors. It's a really easy way to, if you've got an EFI engine that you want to switch over to a carb, it's pretty much a one-wire ignition system, so that's pretty cool. It's got the coil pack on top with the ignition module on the inside, so there's really nothing to it. Super simple. So yeah, cheap, some American brand headers that are made to fit a Ranger. Not really very happy with the way they look, but they're doing the job for now, so that's what's going to be on them for a little while. That's a Holley 4160 carburetor. It's a 4-barrel single pumper vacuum secondary with a manual choke. Pretty basic carb. It came with the Edelbrock intake as a package from Summit Racing. Pretty good price, so I'm pretty happy with that setup. In the front, suspension wise, it's DGM, the Dream Beams or whatever they're called. Lowers the truck 3 inches, and then there's some other brand coils that lower it also another extra 2 inches, which is nice. 5 inches total in the front. Maybe gonna go a bit lower than that eventually if I go with a tube front. Throw some coilovers on the front. But that's in the future. I don't know how long this setup's gonna last, so we'll see. If we move to the interior, this is a sheet metal dash that I made with my dad. It's, I think, 22 gauge, just sheet metal. I don't know, basic steel, not aluminum, because that shit's expensive. Switches for the ignition, so you got the shitty push button that I'm gonna end up changing just because it works half the times and it doesn't the other half. Then you got first switch, ignition, second switch, fuel pump, and third switch is the cooling fan. And then you got the fancy auto meter gauges that I paid way too much for, but whatever, they look cool. Got the RPM that goes all the way up to 10,000, which is never going to happen with a 5-liter. And then the speedometer, which goes up to 120 miles per hour, which might happen, I don't know. We'll see. And water temp, oil pressure, all matching. Then we got the Grant Racing, I think, steering wheel that I bought from a dirt track speed shop close to home with, what is it, Bicknell quick release. That was pretty cheap. I had to make an adapter plate to go from a 5-bolt pattern to the 3-bolt pattern on the Bicknell quick release, but that fits pretty good and you can barely tell it's there. So that's pretty cool. Then we got the handmade hydro e-brake. That's gonna be changed up a little bit because, well, I've recently found out that it's plumbed wrong, and also this handle is not really that tall. It's like, if we move back here, this is my seat. It's a Kirky racing seat. I don't know what model it is. I don't remember. But it was somewhat cheap. I mean, compared to a Sparco or something like that. And the nice thing about it is they make them like 30 minutes away from where I live, so might as well support a local business. Just gonna get this out of here. This is the rear suspension setup. So got comp cams, coilovers, or comp cams, competition engineering coilovers. I'm fucking stupid. Comp engineering 4-link that was somewhat poorly executed by me, but it's gonna be fine for now and changed eventually. So that's that. The step notch, I'm pretty happy with how it came out. Like, it's partially boxed on the front and back of it. So that's pretty cool. Got the fuel cell mounted to the back here with just some 1-inch flat stock and some angle iron that welds to the frame. So that's that. Got the Holley electrical fuel pump. It's just a Holley blue with the regulator and a filter. So that's that. Got steel braided line that's running all the way up to the front. The setup that you see here with the 1/2-inch rod front and back is because this is the Mustang 8.8 and not the Ford 7.5 diff that was in the stock Rangers. So it's like way wider than what's original. And I'm running 15x8 Aero race wheels, which are split right down the middle, so 4-inch offset or 4-inch backspacing, whatever you want to say it. And yeah, so that rubs a fuck ton. But with this setup of rods that are bolted to the side of the bed, it spreads the bed out pretty wide. But I don't know if I'm gonna run this setup. It's not welded yet or anything. It's just being held with vice grips, but I don't know. We'll see. This is the Panhard setup that I have. It's not bolted in right now, but it's probably going to be changed just because it's too short. If you look at a normal Panhard, the way it's supposed to be set up, it would grab on from here and most likely go bolt on to your axle more like over here, which would be a much longer Panhard, like almost twice the length of what I have. And that would make it sort of have less side-to-side motion because it's got a larger radius to move on. This is kind of a short radius. It doesn't move that much, but the less it moves, the better it is. So I'm gonna have to remake that. Plus, none of this is very hard to make. I mean, I'm probably just gonna cut that bracket off and weld it lower on the axle tube and then just make a different Panhard setup. This is a Panhard that I made, or a Panhard bar that I made out of I think it's like a Cobalt suspension arm or something like that, or like a Cavalier suspension arm. I just bought it at my local parts store and cut it in half, threaded the ends, and put a threaded rod with some lock nuts or jam nuts, and yeah, works pretty good. It's not it doesn't have opposite threads on both ends though, so you can't just undo one side, unscrew it and whatnot. You have to like adjust both sides, but that's alright. It's not that much longer to adjust. Got the back windshield out, or back window out. Gonna take the front one out soon, just to make it easier to start doing the cage. For the cage build, I'm not sure yet exactly how I'm gonna go about this. just because I've never built a cage, but I mean, I'm probably not the first person to build a roll cage for a car without having any experience, so shouldn't be too difficult. But I'm thinking that I'm just gonna do like base plates in the bottom of the cab, and then just run some tubes that go to the frame and from underneath to my base plates, and then just bolt that with 4 bolts. I'm pretty sure if you're doing a normal bolt-in cage, that's what you need, like something like a, don't quote me on this, but like a 3/16 plates or something like that, or like a 1/8 plate with 4 grade 8 bolts, like 1/2 inch grade 8 bolts, or maybe a bit bigger, a bit smaller, I don't know, but I'll find all those specs, and whether it's FD legal cage or not, I don't give a shit. I'm not going to Formula Drift in a Ford Ranger because they don't allow trucks, and I don't plan on being a professional drifter. This is just a fun build for me, just to fabricate shit and have fun, pretty much. So that's that for the truck. This is my new JD squared tubing benders, the Model 3, with 1.5 inch tubing die with a 4.5 inch bend radius. It's a pretty nice bender. I've tried it once so far with just a piece of scrap tubing, and it bent really nice, so that's cool. This is the column I made for it. All TIG welded. I am not a professional TIG welder, but I think it came out pretty nice if you look at the welds, if my shitty phone can focus on them. Well, you can't really focus with this shitty phone, but came out pretty nice. This is bolted down to the floor with just some anchors or whatever from Home Hardware. This is my welding table that I recently got. It's not perfect. It's not like super nice, but it's pretty good. It's got like a 3/8 thick top that's somewhat bent on the ends, but I don't care. I'm not doing professional work here. I'm just doing work for myself and for friends who need stuff. And yeah. Oh, forgot to mention on the engine, the module that came with this distributor on the inside was just some bone stock, like normal module. I just replaced it this morning with an MSD rev limiter. I don't know what the name of the actual product is, but it's an MSD rev limiter that I got off Summit, and it's super easy to put in. If you've got a GM HEI cap, it's just 2 screws, and then you plug your connector, put the ground on, and then you just ground your tack wire for a second at half the RPM of what you want to run. And then, yeah, it's set. So I set mine for 5,000 RPM right now, which is pretty low, but I'd rather be safe. So yeah, that's that for the truck. Hopefully we'll have some more videos up soon. And I'll put at the end of the video a few clips that I have of me running the truck outside during the summer. So yeah, that's that.